Merry Christmas, everyone. Welcome into a home edition of the Cleveland Browns Report because the Browns have some pretty big news to share today, which is they have signed a kicker, Riley Patterson. So we're going to get to know Riley Patterson, talk about what we know about Dustin Hopkins, and actually even Corey Bojorquez, who got injured quietly late in the win against Houston. But appreciate everyone for tuning in today on Christmas. Home edition because, well, I'm off today, but still wanted to share the news with you guys because Riley Patterson was added to the Browns practice squad, and I'm not exactly sure if this is a 1 week stint, a 2 week stint. Hopefully it's not a major injury for Dustin Hopkins. He suffered a hamstring injury on his non-kicking leg during the win on Sunday early in the game, and so with just 2 games left, fingers crossed that the Browns will get him back for at least the playoffs. Of course, they have a short week with the Jets coming to town on Thursday night this week. So I'm not exactly sure when to expect Dustin Hopkins back. I know that kickers and hamstring injuries tend not to go very well. He had an MRI today. At least that's what they told us yesterday. And I want to believe that no news is good news. But then I think about the red wedding for the Browns, which was a few Tuesdays ago when a bunch of bad injury news came out. So we'll have to wait and see on the better D-Hop. But let's get to know Riley Patterson a little bit. So he hasn't been in the league for all that long. He made his regular season debut in 2021 with the Lions. In fact, he was with the Lions earlier this year, and he was doing a kicking battle with Michael Badgley for Detroit. Now, Patterson was known for being accurate but not having a great leg, whereas Badgley was one of those, has a deep leg, has a big leg, but maybe not the most accurate inside of 50 yards. Well, unfortunately, Patterson was dueling with Badgley all week in practice for actually a few weeks even over in the Motor City, and a couple missed extra points spelled doom for him. So here are the career stats for Riley Patterson. This season with the Lions, he has appeared in 13 games. He is 15 for 17, so not too shabby, but not a huge sample size. In his career, he's an 87.9 field goal percentage kicker. Extra point-wise, he is 87 for 90, but he missed 2 extra points this season, so that's sort of what ended his time in Detroit. Before this season, he was the kicker for Jacksonville last year. He kicked all 17 games for the Jags, and he went 30 for 35, so not awesome, but not the worst in the league. 85 field goal percent, so above average, I would say. But again, if the Browns just need a kicker for a week, maybe 2, I'm sure Riley Patterson, I'm sure this will probably end up jinxing it, can probably get the job done. They've got the Jets coming up, and then they end the season in Cincinnati. So the Jets don't scare me all that much. I really hope the Browns don't put themselves in a position where they need a walk-off 53-yarder from Riley Patterson where maybe Hopkins makes it, but Patterson comes up short. Fingers crossed that does not happen. But I got to envision that if they do miss Hopkins for a week, maybe 2, that Patterson won't cost them a game in a very small 2-game stretch here. But we'll have to wait and see. And so I do want to show Dustin Hopkins some love. Type 7 down below in the comment section. I got to envision he's pretty bummed this Christmas Day, knowing that he's got a hamstring injury that is likely going to keep him out for Thursday's game, and we'll have to wait and see if it's a long-term hamstring injury. But type 7 down below. Show the best D-Hop in the NFL that the Dog Pound is rooting for him this Christmas Day. Now, let's talk about the number 1 seed path for the Browns here before I let you guys go back to opening all your presents or, maybe escaping the family and going to the neighborhood bar a little bit. Let's talk about the 1 seed path because the Chiefs' loss against the Raiders killed Kansas City's hopes of getting the 1 seed. I thought the Chiefs were frauds this year. I thought they would take care of business at home against the Raiders, but not the case. So, good news for the Browns. So that's big billboard right there. Here is the Browns' path to the 1 seed. Go 2-0. Beat the Jets. Beat the Bengals. Go 2-0. 2 games that you might not be favored in the Cincinnati game, although the Bengals start to skid a little bit here as they lost against the Steelers in pretty epic fashion and they lose to the Chiefs next week. I could see the Browns being slim favorites on the road. But the Browns are definitely going to be favorites on Thursday night at home against the Jets. So take care of business. Go 2-0 if you're the Browns. Now you need a little bit of help. You need the Ravens to go 1-2. They've got 3 games left. 3 games. 49ers tonight on Monday Night Football, pretty much. Then the Dolphins and then the Steelers. I don't think it's unreasonable for the Ravens to lose tonight in Santa Clara and then maybe trip up against the Steelers in Week 18. We have seen the Ravens choke numerous times in the final week of the season before, so this would be pretty epic Baltimore fashion. Or lose to a good Dolphins team that just took care of business against the Cowboys. All right, so we need the Ravens to go 1-2 and the Browns to go 2-0, and Cleveland wins the AFC North. Now, if you want to shoot for the 1 seed, you need a little bit more help than that. You also need the Dolphins to go at least 1-1. 0-2 would be great, but then again, the Dolphins play the Ravens, so it can get a bit hairy when you've got two teams playing one another. So the Dolphins, it'd be kind of ideal if the Browns go 2-0, the Ravens lose tonight and lose, say, next week against, I want them to beat the Steelers. I don't want the Steelers to get above 500. Okay, so the Ravens lose tonight, beat the Dolphins, lose to the Steelers, and then the Dolphins lose to the Ravens next week and beat the Bills or lose to the Bills either way. So I know it's a bit hectic. There's a lot of moving pieces, but in much simpler English, Browns go 2-0, Ravens go 1-2, Dolphins go 0-2 or 1-1. Now we're going to get to the rest of our at-home video in just a moment here, but I do want to share some awesome information with everyone, which is our great sponsor, Prize Picks. We all know that sometimes these primetime matchups can be duds, let's be honest, like Eagles-Giants, probably not putting a whole lot of butts in seats right now, but tonight's game between the 49ers and the Ravens will be elite. So if you want to be extra locked in on the game, go to Prize Picks. So the way Prize Picks works is you select 2 to 6 players, and then pick more or less on their projected stats. So let me show you my selections for tonight's game in Santa Clara between the Niners and the Ravens. I like the more on Brock Purdy. I like the less on Lamar Jackson's rushing yards. I also like the more on George Kittle's receiving yards, and some other great selections out there that you can go pick yourself. So if you are having a big Christian McCaffrey moment and you think he's going to go off, well, go to prizepicks.com, use code CLNS after going to prizepicks.com/CLNS, and you're going to get a deposit match up to $100. Now that link is in the comments and description of today's video. One more note before I get on here, because I don't want to forget, Corey Bojorquez also suffered some level of an injury. I didn't notice it in real time, but D'Anthony Bell delivered the final kickoff for the Browns against the Texans, if I remember correctly. So hopefully Bojorquez did not have a serious injury. Both Hopkins and Bojorquez were having career years. Like, I know it's tough to identify good punters and bad punters. If you want good punters for dummies, when the punter kicks the ball or punts the ball, does the return man start backpedaling every time? Then the punter is outkicking his coverage. So Bojorquez has been awesome this season, and obviously Hopkins has been one of the best kickers in the NFL this year. And what a surprise. The Browns bring in a really good special teams coordinator, Bubba Vitrone, and special teams is kicking ass. What a surprise. The Browns bring in a really good DC in Jim Schwartz, and the Browns defense is kicking ass. So great offseason additions by Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, and everyone in Berea. Jim Woods and Mike Prefer were just not getting the job done to the highest level, and the Browns knew that they could do better. So what do? They go out and get some of the best coordinators in the game right now. All I hope for is that they do not get poached this offseason. I don't think we're going to see Bubba Vitrone get a head coaching offer, and it's unlikely we see Jim Schwartz get one. Usually older defensive coaches going on their second head coaching stint, they don't get a whole lot of phone calls. So we'll have to wait and see. But those two coaches have been instrumental for the Browns this offseason. All right, before I let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your Christmas, let me know in the comment section, will the Browns win the AFC North? The Lions won the NFC North for the first time in franchise history. Maybe a couple of changing of guards, a new Kings of the North will happen this year. Let me know down below, yes or no. This is also my favorite way to know who watches all the way to the end of the video. So simply type yes or no in the comment section if you think the Browns will win the AFC North. All right, that's going to do it for us. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas day. I appreciate everyone for tuning in for an at-home edition of the Cleveland Browns Report, and I will see you all later.